Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany and I'm an expat living in Greece. One of the things I get asked about most often after where should I go and what's the weather like right now is Greece safe? And I get this from both single solo travelers and couples, you name it, I've been asked. And overall, my answer is yes. Greece is one of the safest places that I have both lived and visited on vacation. There are a few things that you should be aware about though, just so that nothing happens to you or your things while you're here on your vacation. So first I'm going to talk about Athens, and then I'm going to talk about some of the things that you should expect when you go to the islands. The other thing I want to mention is that I haven't been everywhere in Greece. I live in Athens and I've spent a significant time on the islands. Just recently I have been exploring some of the mainland areas, so I can't speak to, say, Thessaloniki or Crete, which is a much larger island. But in general, I would say that Greece itself is pretty safe. So let's talk about Athens first. If you're not from a big city and you come here, you're going to think that Athens is very rough and it may feel a little bit unsafe. And there are parts of Athens that are a no-go, and I am going to talk about that, but generally it's fine. I have lived here for almost 3 years now and nothing has ever happened to me or actually anyone that I know personally. But there are 3 things that you need to be aware of. One, first, is taking the metro from the airport to the city center. This is where a lot of people get pickpocketed on this particular metro line. If you coming from the airport, you're going to see it's a blue line on the map. What happens? So people get on the metro and sometimes groups of people will surround you and they will forcibly take things out of your bag, such as your wallet or your cell phone. And then at the very next stop they get off. Unfortunately, no one's going to probably step in and help you because they just don't want to get involved. Or you won't even notice. They will pickpocket you and you will get off and you will realize that your wallet is gone. So there are a few things that you can do to protect yourself. And the very first thing that applies to almost everything I'm going to tell you in this video is to be aware. Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of your things. Do not get involved in conversation with your traveling companion, and do not be looking up at the map going, where am I? You need to know what stop it is that you're getting off at. It is likely that you are coming into the city center and you're either getting off at Sigtagma or somewhere around there. So it's gonna be a while. The train from the airport to the city center is about 45 minutes. So keep that in mind. Obviously, you want to pay attention to some degree because you need to know so you don't miss your stop. However, don't be looking at it every 5 minutes. It's going to take some time for you to get to the city center, and they will target you if you're not paying attention to your surroundings or to your things while you're on the metro. The other thing is if you're carrying a bag, whether it's a purse or backpack, you need to make sure that you can see the opening in front of you and make sure that everything is closed. I see tourists getting off on the metro, particularly on the blue line, and their backpack is half open and it's on their back. And I'm like, did you already get pickpocketed or are you just being silly? So usually I run up and say, hey, you need to close your backpack, it's open. That's another thing. Keep it within sight and keep it closed. That should really go without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. One thing that I travel with is a pack-safe bag. I'll put a link to their store on Amazon. I don't know if they make my particular model anymore, but because I travel with lots of camera gear, I need a little bit of extra protection. It has anti-theft device on it. It's like a hook that you have to sort of unhook to get into the bag. It is also surrounded by mesh, so it's a metal so that it can't be slashed. Although I've not really heard of that happening here, but in some countries I have heard of people coming by slashing the bag so they take the entire bag. Here it's mostly just taking of wallets and cell phones. Speaking of cell phones, this is the second thing I'm going to talk about. One is the steal your phone sort of scam theft thing that I like to call. So what happens is you sit down to eat and you've put your phone on the table. someone comes up pretending to try to sell you something or ask for money, and they've got a little piece of paper or like a little bit bigger card, and they put it down in front of your phone and start talking to you. While they're talking to you, they are stealing your phone. And you probably won't even notice it until they've walked away. So, and this has almost happened to me, even though I am a city person and I have lived in big cities for most of my adult life, it still can happen to you. I was sitting at a table in Surrey with a friend at a bar. I had my phone on the table, and a person came up with a very small piece of paper. It was like 3x5 index card, very flimsy. They put it down. I knew what was happening, right? When he put the thing down, I grabbed my phone and I said to him, "You need to leave. I know what you're doing. And if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police." And he actually ran off. My friend that was with me was like, "What just happened?" Because she hadn't heard of this happening before. Make sure when you're sitting at a restaurant, you keep your things put away and keep your bag in front of you. Don't hang your bag on the back of the chair because you may still get pickpocketed. That's less common, but why take the risk? We're gonna talk about the no-go zone. This is number 3. There is an area in Athens called Ammonia Square. It has a big, beautiful new fountain, and a lot of people book hotels there because they go online and they see that the hotels in this area are significantly cheaper, not knowing this is not the best area of Athens. There's a lot of drug activity, so therefore there are sometimes muggings and more pickpocketing happening. And then of course you're getting sucked into that whole thing of if something happens, then you're standing there during all of it. So now, a lot of people have contacted me and asked me, "Is this safe? I've booked my hotel here." And generally, if you're going to just be going in and out during the day, that you're fine. And if you've booked your hotel there and you can't change it, don't panic. I have one suggestion for you, and that is after dark, you take a taxi back to your hotel, because that's really when bad things happen in Ammonia. They're not happening during the day because there are lots of people going in and out of there. It's a fairly large metro station there. So I've gone through there lots, but only during the day. I try not to get stuck at Ammonia at night. I've actually made some impressive transfers at night on the metro so that I don't get stuck there. Don't panic if you did it. Just be aware that it is not safe, so be on your guard, extra careful, and like I said, only go to your hotel at night by taxi. Now, what about on the Greek islands? Generally, Greek islands are extremely safe and you rarely hear about anything bad happening. But there are some things that do happen, but they're kind of one-offs. There are also things that you might be concerned about. So I'm gonna squash those concerns. And number one that I see a lot is that people get on the ferry and they are directed to leave their suitcases down in like the car or cargo hold area, and they panic and they're like, "I don't leave my suitcase down there. You know, someone might steal it, someone might take things from it." Well, trust me, you don't want to take your suitcase up with you, because you may be able to take the escalator up, but you're then going to have to carry it down the escalator without it running or down the stairs. When you're disembarking on a ferry, they do not run the escalator to go down. They only run it to go up, and you're not going to be allowed to use the elevator unless you're disabled, elderly, or you have small children with you, like in a stroller. So then you're going to be stuck carrying your suitcase, which, if you're like a lot of people who haven't quite figured out packing yet, it weighs 50 pounds and you don't want to carry that down the stairs. Now, what I would say is that it's perfectly safe. I've never had happen anything to my things or heard of anyone having things stolen from their bag. I've been coming here since 2016 and I've taken a ferry every single time that I've come. But don't leave your valuables in your suitcase. Like, don't leave your camera, don't leave your laptop, don't leave your passport or your money in that suitcase that you leave down there. You do want to take those things with you up to your seat. The other thing, as I will tell you, is that passengers are not allowed in this area when the ferry is at sail. So, like, when you're heading out from Piraeus, until you get off at the next ferry port, you're not allowed to go down there. You're only allowed to go down there about 10 minutes before you disembark. And everybody's running around trying to get into their car and get to their own suitcases, so they're probably not trying to steal from you. I've even left like a tote bag that was completely open and no one touched it. It was just groceries, but I thought, whatever, if someone takes it, so be it, but nothing ever happened. The only crew that really goes down there during non-disembarkation times are like the engineer people, and they are busy making sure that the boat is running, so wouldn't worry about it at all. The other thing that you should be aware of that is both in Athens and on a Greek island is that the safes in Greek hotels are very small. And I'm not really sure of the reason why, but they're usually about this big, kind of like that index card size. They'll probably hold your passport and maybe a small like point and shoot digital camera. If you're lucky, it might hold a small tablet. So I tend not to use them because if I put something in there that small, then I forget about those things. And I've actually left things in hotel safes. Never again. So my advice to you is to leave your valuables in your suitcase, lock the suitcase. I've never had anything happen here. And I've actually had people go, oh, isn't that unsafe? Nothing has ever happened. Even when I've been on islands during the high busy season, most people are here to have a good time. They're not here to rob you. Like, it just isn't happening. And the hotel staff are not going to risk losing their jobs for a couple of €100 that they might get for that thing, because, it's more important to be employed than to lose your job. Don't leave things out in the open. Like, don't leave things when you've left for the day out for someone to come in and potentially take. It's just, again, like everything else, don't tempt them. The third thing is, if you're coming here to party, like say on one of the big party islands, Mykonos, Paros, Zakynthos, Ios, all of those places, and I've seen it happen, and this is more about your personal safety, don't let yourself get so drunk that you can't walk home. Because on a lot of the islands, like Ios, there's no hospital. So if you fall down and hurt yourself really badly, there's clinic, but if something serious happens, you're gonna be in pain for a while until they can get you to another place that they can treat you. And if it's something really serious, you may have to take a helicopter ride, which sounds exciting, except when you're in pain. And the other thing is that's when the potential for somebody to steal from you or really do something bad to you, which doesn't happen here often, that's when it may happen because you are not conscious of what's happening to you. And even though you should definitely be able to come here and do whatever you want, it doesn't mean that somebody's not gonna try to take advantage of you. And while I think that's terrible that that's the society that we live in, it's just something that we all have to live with. If you're with a group and someone is trustworthy enough, what I would do is say, hey, every night can one of us just have like 1 or 2 drinks rather than us getting really drunk, because then that way that person can make sure that you all get home safely and you haven't lost your keys and you haven't lost your wallet all the way home. Or if you're on a big enough place, take a taxi from the bar to your hotel. That way, you don't have to worry about any of those things and everybody can enjoy their time here and not have any problems. And my last thing, which is going to be the most unpopular thing that I say, is if you're on a Greek island and you're going to rent some sort of transportation, please do not rent an ATV. They are very dangerous if you are not experienced in driving an ATV. They easily tip over, they do not handle well, and a lot of the islands, like Santorini and Ios, the roads are not so great. They are either heavily trafficked, like they are in Santorini, or in Ios, they're not trafficked at all, and there's gravel all along the side of the road. Every year that I go to Ios, someone has broken their leg. I hear about it every year from my friends, what's happening. And it's not just once a season, it's multiple times a season that somebody is getting seriously injured on an ATV. I've even heard worse stories, but I will not share them here because it's too gruesome. The other thing is it really annoys the islanders to get stuck behind an ATV that can only go like 50 kilometers per hour when the speed limit is 70 or 90. It's just really annoying to get stuck behind them. Plus the cost is about the same as renting a car. So enjoy the air conditioning of a car and be a little bit safer and have a little bit more horsepower, actually. If you have any questions about staying safe while you're here in Greece, please ask me in the comments below. And if you have any other tips specifically about staying safe in Greece, you can also put those down below. I hope this was helpful, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.